We're catching up today with Admiral Center Cody Glass. It's kind of weird to say Admirals because it's Nashville. That's what the goal is. That's all of that, right? But at the same time, much of the year in Milwaukee, great season in Milwaukee. Cody, all of that build up to say, how's your summer going?
It's going good. It's nice to have a mental reset, be able to be home with family, friends. It's really nice just kind of get back and just relax because seasons are very busy, and it's nice to just get back to the norm.
I was talking with an old friend today, and it was so funny. He asked how summer is going, and it's like hard to think that training camp is right around the corner because of COVID, because of the playoffs, all of this stuff. It's been a long time since we used up all of May around here in Milwaukee. So the summer is certainly a lot shorter than it has been over the last few years. I'm not complaining. It just is, it's different.
I agree. Just like you said, not complaining, but that's a little bit different. Feels like the summer flies by, and next thing you know, it's training camp. So you just have to enjoy it as much as you can, and just take every day as it is.
This has to have been you had to sign the offer to go back to be back in Nashville. And I think that's a fairly academic thing, isn't it? When you get to that point, you're a restricted free agent. It's just going to happen, right? It's inevitable for the most part, or are there things that you got to hammer out?
No, I think that's just like you said. I mean,
It's pretty
I
simple.
know, I know, I wanted to be back, and just to get the deal done very early, I took my qualifying offer. So just to get it out of the way, I can kind of just be my mind's at ease going through the summer, and like all I have to worry about is training and then being ready for training camp. So to get that out of the way early was very nice.
And that's where I was going with this, and the fact that last year was a trade. You're coming off an injury. You've had injuries that you had to deal with in the summer. This has got to be, counting your time last season, this has got to be about as solid a year as you have had in maybe since you were in Portland before all the
Mm-hmm.
injuries, before everything, right? I mean, it's just it's easy is not necessarily the right word, but but it's the word I'm going to use here.
Yeah, I think I've had some tough luck, but I think all the excuses are kind of out of the way. I don't like using excuses for myself, but at the same time,
But there's a
I
peace
feel
of
normal
mind.
now.
But there's I
Yeah,
was going to say
I
there's a peace
peace of
of mind this
mind.
year.
Yeah, peace of mind. I feel 110% now, which is nice. Training, I'm back to normal. I have no restrictions in training or skating or anything, so it just feels like I did right before I got injured.
And you're with the same group of people. There's not that swapping of organizations or all of this stuff. Like for the most part, everybody who you're going to be around. I mean, all of these things that just you can focus more on you than you can on all these peripherals now.
Yeah, I think that's one of the biggest things too, is going to a new organization, new coaches, new management, new players, and it's just a whirlwind as soon as you get there because you're meeting all these new faces, trying to remember names, trying to remember systems. And now that I have kind of a year under my belt, I know what to expect. I know what to expect going to training camp, and it's nice. It's a good feeling.
We touched on this a little bit, but how funny is it to think? I mean, you're going down in a couple of weeks here to Nashville, right? You're going to get acclimated and work with those people as almost as soon as you can.
Yep, no, I'll be heading down pretty early. I mean, it's nice being in Nashville. The summers there are beautiful. So I'm looking forward to it. But at the same time, just to be around the team, be around the training staff, coaches, stuff like that. Just kind of prepare going to training camp. No, it's going to be a big year, and I'm ready to take that next step. And I feel like this is the right thing to do.
You say summers in Nashville, but how are summers in Winnipeg? I mean, that everybody tells me that's the time. If you're going to be in Winnipeg, that's the time to be there.
I know, sadly for hockey players, they only get to see Winnipeg in the wintertime. So they just trash on it. But for me, I get to see it in the summer, and it's beautiful. I mean, you can golf, you can go to the lake. There's so many things to do. But then again, I have my family and friends here, so that just makes it that much better.
Well, being there in the playoffs this year, it was so nice. The weather was starting to get nice, and we weren't walking on mounds and mounds of compacted snow on the sidewalk. I went to a baseball game. I mean,
Yeah,
it was wonderful.
I know. Yeah, that's the side that people don't really see. I mean, there is their bad parts, but I feel like that goes with every city. So,
Sure.
I mean, I enjoy it. I'm from here. I think that's why I love it so much. But I feel like that goes for everybody.
What was the playoffs like for you? I mean, you're in Milwaukee, but you also get called up and get to play some in Nashville. What was the playoff experience like for you this year?
Yeah, it was cool. I mean, going up to Nashville, I think it was the day of our first game, game one.
Yeah.
I think it was like I stepped into the rink, or I was driving to the rink, and Scooter ended up phoning me and saying, "Hey, like you're getting the call, you're going up." And I'm like, "I'm in my suit, like I'm at the rink." I'm like, "Are you serious?" And he's like, "Yeah, like you're going up." So I literally walked into the rink, grabbed my stuff, walked back out, and then had a flight in I think an hour and a half, 2 hours. So it was a very hectic day to say the least. But it was cool being able to play against Colorado. Obviously, they ended up winning it, but it was a nice taste of playoff hockey, and then playing with the Admirals and make it to the second round, going against another championship contender who ended up winning it. Um, it's good. It's good experience for everyone, and I had a lot of fun this year, especially just playing in the playoffs. And I've been lucky enough to play in the playoffs every year, and it's been good.
That your experience against Colorado, I mean, what was that like? As you mentioned, they won it. What was it like to be out there? And I mean, here you are on almost the biggest stage you can possibly be in hockey.
Exactly. I feel like just being on that stage against that type of opponent really shows what kind of hockey player you are. And I feel like I did good. I handled myself well, and I feel like that really set me up for next year. But at the same time, they're a fast, quick hitting team, and I feel like that's everything Nashville wants to be as well. And I feel like it was a great series, and I feel like a couple of those games could have went to Nashville, but at the end of the day, you end up losing them, so you have to forget about it. But I think it was a good stepping stone for not only me but the team as well. And I feel like going into next year, they have that experience, they know what it takes, and just makes them that much better.
You know, I look back when I was a kid, the Boston Celtics always beat the Detroit Pistons, and finally Detroit broke through, and then the Pistons always beat the Bulls, and finally the Bulls broke through. And like you need that experience, you need to have that. I don't want to say you have to lose, but you need to know what it's like, I guess. And losing's a hell of a teacher.
Exactly. I think that's an awesome comparison. Just especially just having that feeling of losing, and not only losing but getting swept is just an awful feeling as a hockey player or any sport you play. So it kind of leaves that sour taste. And when you get to that point next year, you're going to have that feeling. You're not going to want to feel it again. So it gives you that much more energy, that much, like you said, experience,
Yeah.
and just makes you want it more.
Do you have your phone set up to go off every time there's a transaction? I mean, it's free agency is wild, um,
Yeah.
and with trades going, I mean, like the NHL doesn't make trades like they are this year. Like normally, it's 3/5 of an NBA starting lineup is being traded, and millions, hundreds of millions of dollars. The NHL is always a fourth round pick for somebody. This year, that hasn't been the case.
Yeah.
Are you one that has your finger on the pulse of all of this, or you're like, you know what, I'll catch it later when I turn on Sports Center spelled RE.
Yeah, I think it's kind of everywhere. I don't really see it on social media, but it's the minute it comes out, I'll either get my brother texting me, my dad texting me, any of my friends, and then it's just out, and then I have to go check. So I kind of stay away from it. Obviously, I'm on Instagram. I don't have Twitter, but it's hard to miss things, and so you see it pretty much everywhere.
When you see Nashville trades for Ryan McDonough, which Ryan McDonough is a fantastic hockey player. They signed Nino Niederreiter, who is a tremendous hockey player. Uh, that gives you some juice going into the season, doesn't it? It can't help but give you some juice going into the season.
100%. And I feel like they're going in for it. They're wanting to contend, and I feel like that just kind of gives you that extra energy, that extra motivation in the summer to kind of push yourself more and want to be that difference maker. And I feel like that's just what it's going to be. It's going to come down to obviously the depth of players, but not only the top guys. And just happens in the summer. It's something you just have to push for.
You and I talked about this several times this past year about how you needed the touches and the time and all of this stuff and to get to be the player that you wanted to be once again. And certainly it seems like you're there, and it seems like you're factoring in Obviously, there's a lot that can happen, but it certainly seems like you have your mindset that you are going to be in Nashville's lineup night in and night out this season. That's your plan. That's what you're looking to do. You're looking to make it difficult for them to not put you in the lineup.
Yeah, that's my mindset going into it. And I feel like the past couple of years, I have been kind of not as confident in myself, always having that kind of in the back of your mind, like maybe I'm going to get cut, maybe I'm not going to make it. And I feel like this year is the year where I am confident. I don't have that little voice in the back of my head. And I feel like just mentally and physically, I feel like I'm ready to be able to play in the NHL.
So why the change? Is it because you're comfortable? It's because you're feeling healthy? A combination? You just experience? I mean, what you like the people you're with? You trust the people you're? I mean, what is it?
I think it's just a combination of everything. Like I had my rookie season, I ended up tearing my knee and my ACL, so I kind of struggled with that. And then coming back from that, and it's always the in the back of your mind, oh, is it fully healed? Is it this? Is it that? So I've always had kind of these little voice in the back of my head kind of eating at me, but I feel like that's where kind of talking to people, talking to sports psychologists, stuff like that kind of helps you. And I feel like I've taken a big step in the past year and a half of really taking advantage of that. And I feel like that's probably the biggest thing that's helped me kind of get out of my own head.
You don't have to name names here, but I'm curious. I mean, you're not the first one to tear an ACL, right? I mean, do you have counsel like that? Like, do you talk to compare experiences with people when you get into that situation and say, "Oh, look, this guy made it back. It may have taken him whatever, but that's a good guy to gauge myself against."
Yeah, I think I remember like when it first happened, the NFL season ended up starting up, and I saw guys like Joe Burrow, it might have been Nick Bosa, Odell Beckham Jr. All these guys ended up starting getting these ACL like tears, and I've never like really heard of this injury beforehand. But all these guys came back so much better than before, and so you kind of look at that, and I'm just like, why can't that be me really?
Yeah.
And but it took me a while to notice that because I didn't really talk to anybody. I was kind of just in my own head. Not always timid of doing certain things with it, but now I'm to the point where it feels comfortable. I'm confident in it, and it's feeling 100%.
So you got hotel living, or are you going to crash with somebody when you're in Nashville here in a couple of weeks?
Oh, we'll see. It'll probably be a little bit of a mixture of both. My girlfriend has family out there, so I'll probably stay out there for a bit.
That helps, right? I mean, people don't understand how not glamorous. Everybody thinks it's so glamorous. It's not as glamorous as people think to be traveling and staying in the hotel all the time, especially when you're talking long term.
100%. And that's through the season too. When you go on those long road trips, you just get sick of it. I mean, it's nice to start off, nice to get a break and be with the guys, but at the same time, it gets old very quickly.
Yeah. Well, good luck. Enjoy the rest of your summer. What is for the rest of the summer? Golf course, lake, you fish?
Oh, it's pretty much the most basic hockey player summer you could ever imagine. Training, skating, golfing. That's pretty much the three go-tos for me. And then I'm a big napper, so I have to get my nap in every day, and then pretty much go from there.
The skating part I can believe is probably a hard schedule. Like you're there from 8 to 1 or 8, whatever the hours might be. The rest of
Yeah.
it, is it pretty hard scheduled too? Like, okay, 8 to noon, I'm doing this. Noon to 1, I have lunch. 1 to 4, I'm on the golf course to play. Now, do you have it like that?
It's a little bit different this year just because I haven't been home in like 2.5 years or whatever it is. So I feel like I kind of have an agenda going, just trying to make sure I see every single person that I haven't seen in forever. So it's been like that to start off, but now it's kind of cooling down. But then it picks up again when I'm leaving for Nashville because
Yeah,
I
no,
need to
you're
see
leaving.
everybody before I leave. So yeah, it's been pretty hectic, but it's relaxing once you're on the golf course or just relaxing with family. That's where you're kind of just putting your mind at ease.
I want to throw one more in because you bring up a good point. You really haven't been home for 2.5 years. COVID shut it down. So, I mean, you couldn't. So this has to be you're feeling well, you're feeling good about yourself, you're feeling healthy. And now you're getting to see the people that you love and that love you for the first time in a while. I mean, this is, there's an old Seinfeld show where they say it's the summer of George. This seems like it's the summer of Cody Glass.
Yeah, it's nice. Like I said before, it's put your mind at ease, and just to be back home with family, friends, all the people you haven't seen in forever, and just to tell stories and obviously just reconnect. And it really helps just not only your mind but your soul. So
Yeah.
just kind of doing those little things that kind of just make you feel good, and there's nothing better.
Great to see you, man. Enjoy the rest of the summer.
Thanks, Simsy. Appreciate you.
All right. That's Cody Glass.